I'm waving through a window that I've seen 10 times before. Where's the show that offers more? 2, 3, 4. Give me a little new music. How about a little new music? Too much time with the news has got me feeling news sick. Let's try a little new music.
This is the first time I'm premiering Mansplaining, my song from Glass Ceilings. A Little New Music is such a wonderful place to premiere a new musical theater.
I think it's great to introduce, my stuff to a new audience and also be part of a community that both values new musical theater and also supports it.
I had a song and a concert, and it felt like a really safe audience that really was in tune with what I was trying to say.
I came from the Bronx to come sing here. I'm singing Dance Floor. It's a new song from the Broadway show Talk to Me.
The song I get to perform tonight is called The Only Straight Boy in the Room, which really spoke to me.
I am singing a new song, Karner and Gregor's song called Fractured Fairy Tale. It's really exciting because we get to put our spin on it, and you're really a part of that process too, of bringing a show to reality.
Best talent in town, the best writers around the globe. It's not a casual cabaret, it's a highly produced concert.
This is my first time seeing A Little New Music. It gives you a little taste of what's new and what's to come, and it just makes me excited because I want to see every single show now.
I really think people need to come and experience hearing songs that have not been performed before. There's something incredible about hearing it for the first time.
Ballads, up-tempos, jazzy tunes, old school Broadway type of songs. Sometimes like the next Sondheim shows up, and you get to be a part of that.
Let's try a little new music. Come on, guys. Let's try a little new music. A little new music, that's the name of the show. This is so exciting. Oh, won't you give me a little new music?
And a cocktail or a glass of wine to drink. You can belt the story ballad or talk of Caesar salad. A tune that's filled with charm, and an ice cold beer won't do me harm.
So give me a little new music, something clever that I never heard before. The feeling that I wanted, washing down with gin and tonic. Who could ask for anything more?
Who could ask for anything more? It's the name of the show.
Oh my goodness.
Music theme mega mix, folks. All you needed was like a and some glow sticks, right? Hey folks, welcome to A Little New Music. My name is Keela. I am one of our volunteer producers, and this is our Spotlight series. So, A Little New Music, we presented a myriad of fast-paced hours of new and unheard musical theater since 2013, and we're so happy to have you back with us tonight.
Hi, Keela. That's right. We have been doing this since 2013. And by the way, that includes our featured guest tonight, who is there with us right from the start. That whole mega mix, that was his song being performed by a bunch of our hosts, which is really freaking cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Luke. I'm also one of our producers.
Fantastic. So before we bring on our featured guest, we will ask you to consider supporting A Little New Music. We are an all-voluntary effort, and that depends on your contributions to compensate our writers and our performers. So do you see that little QR code on the screen? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Hey. Yeah. Just give it a scan. You know, if you happen to feel generous, we would gladly accept anything that you can.
Yeah, your contributions make it possible for us to keep doing these online shows and bringing you incredible writer after incredible writer. We also want to thank two organizations who also help sustain us, the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated.
New Musicals Incorporated is also where we met our featured guest.
That's
so,
right.
Folks, we are live in a few minutes. We're going to take your questions for our guests. So get ready to type them into the chat. You never know, your question may be asked live on the air.
So you know what? Who's ready for a show? Are you ready, Keela?
I am ready.
I am so excited for our guest tonight. He originally hails from Columbus, Ohio. And as we've already mentioned, he was one of our very first producers and, in case you didn't know, our very first musical director.
That is right. He has co-written the off-Broadway show Assistance, the musical, with Manny Hagopian, and his show Nothing to See Here, which he wrote with Laurie Hochman. And that was a semifinalist for the O'Neill's National Musical Theater Conference.
There's a lot more we can say about him, but let's just get him here and welcome Bryan Blaskie to the show.
Bryan, come on out. Take a bow.
Hi, Bryan.
Oh. I mean, take a swig.
Okay, I'll do that too. Hi.
Bryan, it's so good to see you. I wish we were all in the same room, but you know, you're almost 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, I left y'all. I left you back in LA and I'm in New York now.
Well, you know, it takes a few New York credits just to come back to LA. So we're hoping that you'll be back in the West Coast.
I miss it every day. Honestly,
Yeah,
I miss LA. And I miss you all. I miss Luke, Keela, Travis, Chris, Amy. I miss everybody at Little New Music. I miss LA every day. I say that to people in New York too, and they're like, "You're crazy. New York's the best city in the world." And I go, "Oh, well, have you been to LA?" And they go, "No." And I go, "Yeah, I miss LA. I miss it every day."
Fantastic. Well, listen, we could go on and on and on and on about your credits and on. But you also wrote the opera Outside, which I'm very curious about, with librettist Seth Christenfield. So let's just get right down to business. The first question of the night is, so do you miss us? I think you've already answered that. Okay, for real. What inspires you to write music, Bryan?
What inspires me to write music? The fact that I can't do anything else. And actually, there was one time I was in college studying cinema. Weirdly enough, I have a film degree. And as I was walking down to the editing lab to work on a film project, I had in my headphones the score to Pirates of the Caribbean. And as I was walking down freshman year of college, I'm like, man, whatever I do in my life has to have music in it because this is great. And that's when I went, but then why am I studying film? Anyway, I finished my film degree and moved to LA just to end up back here, not back in New York, just to end up back on the East Coast doing musical theater. So what inspires me to do music? I don't know. It makes me feel feelings I don't feel in real life.
Ooh, I just got the feels.
Like the end of Act 1 of Wicked. It doesn't matter who's playing the part. I still get chills. I get the tingles.
You mean that part?
It's before it. It's the key change before it.
Okay, gotcha.
Or when she rises. Stephen Schwartz will tell you about it.
So Bryan, we already know that you wrote our theme song, but you also had 3 standalone songs that have graced our stage. So we're going to watch a couple highlights right now from those, but could you tell us just a little bit more about each of these that we're about to see?
Yeah. Okay, so the first one was a little standalone song called Going Down, about a guy who's afraid of flying. The second one, you'll see with co-writer lyricist of it, Eve Weston, is a Hanukkah song, a little holiday song. And then the third song is from the show Assistance that I wrote with Manny Hagopian that was off Broadway last summer. Well, 2019. Do you need any more?
We'll forget last summer. It was 2019.
Yeah. I still feel like we're in last summer, so last summer really means 2019.
Fair.
Exactly.
Well, I want to see them. I want to see the highlights.
Let's watch them.
do it.
Maybe I'll quit sweating if I don't look out the window. 'Cause I just looked out the window. Why'd I ask to have the window? I'll just close my eyes and picture something else that's not as deadly, like an earthquake or Ebola or Justin Bieber medley. Nope. As long as I'm up here, then I will know I'm not down there. You're not hot because I am baking. How much longer till O'Hare? Did they confiscate my drugs? Because I know that I brought some. I promised just this once that I brought some. It was Xanax. Now a beer to wash it down. Oh, I know it's an awful way to go. With no legroom and a seat that won't recline. And a fat guy in my row. Why am I so high up in the sky? I'm a person, and we're not supposed to lie. I think we're going down.
And I have no idea what she's talking about. Do I look better than I usually do? She's freaking me out with her knowing smile, so I glance around my desk for a clue. Oh, that's right, it's Hanukkah. Don't know why I didn't remember. Oh, that's right, it's Hanukkah. It's always in December or November. Oh, that's right, it's Hanukkah. The reason tinsel comes in blue. Oh, that's right, it's Hanukkah. I really should have known since I'm a Jew.
So, I need to know about your date. She's great. She has a quality that says she's gonna make it. She is passionate, and that's rare, you can't fake it. She writes with all her heart. She is so immersed. She's the only girl who wants to get with me and not trying to get to my dad. Yeah, all those people into you who are trying to get to your dad are the fucking worst. The fucking worst. But I got the stripe scratch. And she's beautiful. I think I like her a lot. This girl is good, even though she's in Hollywood. I think I should LA another shot. Let's drink to that. Another shot.
Hoppa!
Another shot.
Drink to that.
Woo.
I just realized with those songs back to back, I did the lyrics for the first one and the last one, and they both say "fuck." So I guess that's my go-to lyric.
It rhymes with a lot.
Whoops. And shout out to one of our producers at ALittleNewMusic, Travis, who also performed that number, Another Shot, in a reading we did of Assistance back in LA when the show was far too long and had far too many songs.
That was also a great mega mix starring the great Kevin Chamberlain, who I saw on Broadway in Seussical the Musical, also starring Aaron Carter, but that's for another discussion. And he's come a long way, folks. So that was before the neck tattoos. Anyway,
very
that was
different career trajectories for those two.
Yes. And Jordan Kai Burnett, who was our host for many occasions, who's now the MC for Magic Mike in Vegas. And of course, Jordan, but also Cooper Howell, who some of us know from Frozen fame in Disneyland. And I also got the pleasure to see Cooper in Spamilton at the Kirk Douglas Theater. So a very wonderful array of talent there. Spamilton. It is a spoof of Hamilton.
I gathered.
Okay.
I gathered.
I didn't know they did that in LA.
He did. He did it. It was a limited engagement. Okay, so let's get on to the questions, folks. I'm sure many of our audience have questions out there. Where is everybody tuning in from, by the way? So, feel free to type them in the live chat. But I'm curious, Bryan, tell us when did you leave LA and why?
When did I leave LA and why? Well, it's actually kind of your all's fault that I left LA. So as I found New Musicals Inc. back in the 11 and 12,
Which I believe is where we met, the three of us,
Yeah.
right?
I took their core curriculum about learning to write musical theater, and then the two of you starred in my first ever staged musical, and that started this trajectory of working with y'all to start A Little New Music, and then doing all these concerts that was just all about new musical theater, and because A Little New Music brought in so many writers who had gone through this program called the Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program at New York University, I said, maybe I should look into that and continue my studies and learn more about the craft of musical theater writing. And in 2015, I took a little trip to New York to see some of our LA friends and our A Little New Music alumni in the Broadway revival of Spring Awakening. And then the next day I went to see this spoof of Spamilton called Hamilton. And I was like, man, this is where, this is exciting energy and huge new musical theater scene. I'm going to apply to this program. And then for some reason they accepted me. And with the help of ASCAP, actually, the ASCAP Foundation, I ended up going. And I left you all. And I couldn't even I did do our last concert. Or the last concert before I left, I was able to do. That's when we did another shot. The penultimate one, I wasn't able to play because I was doing, what was I doing? I was doing some show.
Assistance?
No, it was a gig. I would have dropped assistance. That didn't pay me anything.
So
I was
Bryan,
paying that one.
The very first song outside of our theme song ever performed on the A Little New Music stage was about a guy afraid to go down in a plane, which I mean really set us up nicely for the next 8 years of our work here with Little New Music. But that was your song. You had the theme song, and then the very first song, song we ever did on our stage was your song.
Have there been any other?
Chamberlain. What was that like for you?
It actually was really amazing. Have there been any other back-to-backs like that? Probably, when we had guest writers who came in and did a song or two.
Yeah, we've done over 200 songs, Bryan. We're so successable. It's just hard to.
And I like to say it's because we started off pretty strong with Kevin Chamberlain. So I would I think it was how old was I in 2013? I don't remember, but I was traveling a lot.
15, right?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I was 15. But I was traveling a lot back and forth from LA and Columbus, and I was just I don't understand how planes work. I don't know why I'm in a tube up in the air. I don't know how they're not falling. None of this makes sense. And I wrote the song about the fear of flying, and I kind of was thinking about it as though the character was singing in response to Not Getting Married Today from Company, that quick little patter song. I was like, oh, maybe this singer is going to a destination wedding. So that one of the lyrics in the song is I'm going to this, everybody has a destination wedding and I got to go to it. And I'm going to die because of it. So that's where that came from. And then because I was so new to musical theater, it was a hobby. It was not a career choice. I didn't know music director was a thing. Wasn't really familiar with a lot of people or had met people. So Chris Makish, who was one of our producers, asked Kevin Chamberlain to sing it, 3-time Tony nominee. And I was like, wow, that's really awesome. And it actually started a great friendship because Kevin and I have been in contact ever since. He actually did that song at 54 Below a couple years later. And then we just did a project together. He's big on TikTok now. He's TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I do hope that you tell your folks in New York who poo-poo LA that this was premiered in Los Angeles only to then a couple years later come to 54 Below.
Say that all the time. Come From Away started in Southern California. We featured a song from it, and then it's this is a great Broadway show. I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Where did you hear it first? You heard it first at our show.
That's what we do, folks. So, well, I know we've got some burning questions from the audience, but I'd like to know, where did music come into your life? How did it begin? Was it? Did you see a show early on, or set that up for us if you don't mind?
There's a picture in my in the Bryan room of my parents' house. It's the piano room. But there's a picture of me at age 4 reaching up to my grandfather's organ at his house, little electric organ. And I guess that's where it all started. He played organ. My other grandfather played music. So musicians run in the family, but they skipped a generation and just went over to me. And then in kindergarten, the teacher, Mrs. Powers, R.I.P., played Happy Birthday for some kid. I don't know. And I was like, that's so cool. I want to do that. For some reason, at age 5, I wanted to play piano while other people sang. And that's just kind of where it started. And then I just kept doing that. But then I had to learn classical piano, and that was boring.
I mean, really Happy Birthday is quite riveting of a melody.
And now that's like, now I work at a performing arts college now. And whenever it's the student's birthday, they're like, we have to sing Happy Birthday to them. I'm like, God, I don't want to play that song.
But you never know, Bryan. You could be inspiring a little 4-year-old
to take my job.
You just put your back into it and you made it work.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So that's where it all came from. Mrs. Powers, my grandfather's, and then thankfully nobody else in the family wanted to do music, so I got all the attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers in Columbus, Ohio, for gifting us with this incredible human being.
Mrs. Powers. She had my brothers too, but I guess she didn't inspire them.
No, apparently not. So
have
Bryan, for our audience out there, a few of you have typed questions in the chat. Thank you. Keep doing that. We're going to get to your questions, but first we're going to actually watch a little clip that you've prepared for us, Bryan, because we are all about new and unheard musical theater. You wrote this last week?
Well, yeah. When you asked me to prepare a new song, I said, okay, I better write one.
And that's how new we are, folks. We like to keep it on brand here.
So you want to give our audience just a little bit of context about what they're about to see?
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely true that I just wrote it last week, but I've been working on this show for a while. Actually, a lot.
It doesn't count when you're dreaming about it, like at night. That doesn't count.
Well, I mean, I had written like a line or two, and because it was like it was circling around in my brain. I said, well, here's a good excuse for finally finishing this song that I've been like working on. So to set up this song, the show is about the high school that I went to. And it's kind of, well, I can talk about the show afterward, but this song is this, the 11 o'clock number for the main character who is like fed up and over it and is about to like rip apart the town. And it is sung by somebody who learned it in a week, put herself on tape, the wonderful Kelly Plesha. I'm so excited to share it all with you. I can't wait.
The rain falls in the river. I wonder what gets bigger. The droplet or the ripple or the sea. I've heard that a drop can't be blamed for a flood, but they keep coming down and now drowning me. It's one thing in another, making cracks in the dam. The pressure slowly builds, the only sound is the slamming of the water at the wall. Let it crumble, let it fall, until the flood is all I am. I never asked to hold this in, that's just how it's always been. I buried the deepest parts of me for too long. It should feel good to let this out, should feel right to be the drought. So somebody tell, why do I still feel so wrong? Flood reaches everywhere, grasp for life, gasp for air. Let it wash away the sins of me. To everyone the flood will take, I'm sorry. I see our combustion, the greed and the corruption, the evil and destruction take its toll. I've heard of an ark that protects from the wave, but it's much too late to save a single soul. You planted every seed and you hid behind your creed. Well, the harvest is nigh. We're starting over in everything high. I never asked to be the one. I am not the prodigal son. I'm trying to shield you from the monster held within. I said the old crimson dove. You set back none of the above. Now here are your only options left. You take or twelve. The flood reaches everywhere. Better say your last prayer. Let it wash away your sins against me. To everyone the flood condemns, and everyone the flood will free. I'll take you with me, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry.
Wow.
There is no need to apologize. That was very impressive. And
Kelly is amazing.
Wow. Kelly, I hope you're watching, Kelly. I thought it was kind of like this whole Adele meets Eden Espinosa thing, and it just was just like blew me out of the water. So
I hope
congratulations.
he's listening to hear that.
Beautiful, beautiful work, Bryan. And I mean, you were a good writer before you left LA, but like just to see you evolve and to see how like the challenge that you present to a performer is just so rewarding. So thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much.
For
I
sure.
feel like I did learn a lot at NYU.
There's a little bit of like who do you have like a favorite musical?
A favorite musical?
Yeah.
That one right there that's on my wall.
Oh, yes, Bad Boy.
Bad
Oh my
Boy.
God, I saw it at the Union Square Theater back in the day.
That's the poster from it.
Yeah.
I
With
didn't
Devin
see it
May.
because I wasn't in New York at the time, but I
You
saw
were probably just graduating elementary school when that.
It was 2001, so I was. We won't say that. I don't. I won't age you. But
So are
I
these
saw
writers-
a
Go
production in
ahead.
Columbus that was hi. I saw a production in Columbus near Ohio State that just like blew my mind away, and I was like, "This is what musical theater could be." I love it.
Right. Well, I might have jumped the gun, but I know Luke has a question.
Oh.
No. It's all good. I did want to know a little bit more about what we just saw. The
Yeah.
flood. Plesha, and I in our private chat I mentioned that it was giving me some Carrie vibes. He says the 11th hour. It's at a high school. She sounds like she's like ready to just wash everyone away. Like what's going on there?
That's a flood. Actually, yeah, Carrie's one of the inspirations for it because it is a high school teen who has powers, though it's not as horrific as Carrie is. But the whole premise of the show is this girl has these powers that she can't control, and they come in these outbursts, very similar to Carrie. But I'm going in a different direction that talks more about climate change and sexuality. Well, I mean, Carrie is all about sexuality too, but that's the one that's going on in here. And so throughout the show, this character who it starts off pretty beloved, like all these relationships around her kind of fall apart because of these outbursts that she has. And then at the end of the show, she's like, all right, if you want me to go down, I'm taking you with me. And it mirrors the show, by the way, is called Heritage High. Did I say that? Heritage High, because that's the name of one of the middle schools in my town. And it's in the backyard is a cemetery. And when I was in middle school, we would go out into that cemetery and do classes. Like I remember we had to go find specific tombstones. And you know that thing where you would take like
chalk on paper kind of thing?
Yeah, you would take a piece of paper and then you draw chalk on it.
Rubbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did that. And for some reason, like a couple years ago, I said, wouldn't it be weird to think about the story of that cemetery and how it relates to like present day, that town? And so that's what the musical is. So it's about where these powers come from and this community that existed 200 years ago, and her journey as well. And it kind of mirrors what happens. Her journey mirrors what happened 200 years ago, hence the heritage of it. So then I said, hey, Kelly, you want to belt a G? And she goes, there's not a note I can't belt. Give it to me. And she did it.
She did it.
So good. And I actually met her at NYU.
Ah, yes. The incubator of artists. Just
truly
makes connections. Fantastic.
Truly.
Well, so I already asked you what your favorite musical is, but why is it and how does it inspire you, and where did that lead?
So before I knew Bat Boy, I kind of only experienced musical theater through like whatever would come through Columbus, like the big shows, or like Sound of Music and My Fair Lady, and the big shows that were classic movies. And I thought that's what musical theater was. But then I saw Bat Boy, which was hilarious, clever,
irreverent,
kind of raunchy,
yeah,
irreverent, just and a different style of music. It was kind of a rock musical, and I said, "Oh, if that's what musical theater can be, I'm really into this."
Oh yeah,
and that's why it's my favorite show. I went to see a UCLA production in LA when I was out there,
cool.
And I'm waiting to actually like music direct the show. I want to music direct it so badly. Somebody do the show so I can music direct it.
Maybe you'll do the first Broadway run of Bad Boy. You never know.
They, as far as I know, they're actually kind of still reworking it with that in mind one day to bring it back to New York. Because unfortunately, this is one of the shows that got killed by 9/11. It opened like right around the same time,
right.
And then it just
couldn't. And who are the composers and what else have they done?
Larry O'Keefe and Kevin Murphy, who ever since then have become some of my favorite and inspirational musical theater writers. Larry O'Keefe went on to do Legally Blonde, and then he teamed up with Kevin Murphy again to do Heathers, which started in LA.
Yes,
with some of the ALittleNewMusic family.
That's right.
And we were trying to get one of the songs in one of our concerts, but we just couldn't make it work. And I wanted to so badly because I wanted to tell Larry O'Keefe that you're my favorite writer.
So I want to make sure we give a little time here because we keep asking for our audience for questions. I know we have a few, so I want us to go to our audience questions. And if other folks have other questions that haven't been asked yet, please feel free. But Krista Armentrout asks, of all the songs you've written, which one's your favorite?
It's from I Wish.
Oh, I Wish, the show that the three of us did way back when with Laurie Cairo and Gabby Wagner. Man, I don't know. The one that whenever people ask me to do a song of mine, I go back to the song I wrote right at the tail end of my time at NYU called Unsaid. And I just really like that song because I think that the rhymes are clever and I think it's pretty. And one of the things I like about that song is that I never resolve any of the chords. So for 3.5 minutes, you never hear like a root chord. It's always it's in like the key of F, but we never go back to an F.
I think that would drive me crazy, but okay.
But it's intentional and it's artistic. At least that's what Mel Marvin taught me. So I think that would be the one. It's one that speaks a lot to me.
Fantastic. Thank you for your question. So Eric Cornwell, hey Eric. Eric Cornwell asks, what was one of your most valuable takeaways from the NYU program?
Oh, if I could be so emotional, to quote Whitney, my best takeaway from the program is one of my collaborators, Lori Hockman. Isn't that so gross? Isn't that disgusting?
Oh, I think that's one of the reasons why they make these programs. So I think
if you've been paying attention to our series here, Bryan, and I know you have, a few of our collaborators met at NYU.
Exactly. And it was through them that I learned about the program. So then I got to meet one of my collaborators, Lori, and I love her lyrics, and we were really simpatico on a lot of the things we like to write about. And so far it's going pretty well. So I'm really glad that I got to work with her.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Bryant Edwards, hi Bryant, asks, Brian, what's your favorite Little New Music memory or moment? So many to choose from, Brian.
True, there really are. Oh goodness, my favorite the one that I always go back to, and I like to share the story, was when Barrett Foa made us start over in the middle of a song. We were doing Cara Lee by Ryan Scott Oliver, and who I then ended up meeting in New York. He's also a GMTWP alum. And we're in the middle of the song, and Barrett messes up the lyric. Or he just like flubs the lyric, or he like says the wrong verse or something like that. And he just goes, nope, starting over, 5, 6, 7, 8, boom. And somehow, and we'd also spent like an hour rehearsing. So we had like a good rapport going on, like a good musical mind meld going on. So I was able to pick up with him really quickly. But I was really proud at how I was proud of myself for how quickly I followed him, and also just remember being like, that's live theater, man. And the fact that he was so confident and being like, no, I didn't do the song right, and I'm going to go back and do it right.
Well, and I think everyone, that's what we try to do. We try to present a very polished program, and a lot of the artists get the songs, with maybe 48 hours in advance. And
they get more than 48 hours.
I mean,
Kelly Plesha had 48 hours, but those first couple A Little New Musics we did not have a lot of rehearsal. That's true.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do when we're on a shoestring budget. Hey, y'all, scan the box in the lower right-hand corner if you get a chance and help us out. Help a friend out, y'all. We've been doing this work for a long time, but it's your contributions that make it happen.
For sure.
I think that's all the audience questions that we actually have.
We are not over with questions. Brian, we do have a couple more questions we'd like to ask every Spotlight Series writer, almost like inside the actor's studio. This is more like inside the musical theater director's studio. Are you ready, Brian, for your Spotlight?
Oh, okay, let's do it. Are you going to ask me my favorite curse word? Isn't that what James Lipton would do?
I think we already answered that question.
Yeah, because you've heard it in two of my songs already.
We already know. I think we already know. So, Brian, what was the first musical you ever saw? Or could be a Broadway musical or first?
My first Broadway musical was the 2005 revival of Fiddler on the Roof, and Harvey Fierstein was my first Tevye. You never forget your first Tevye. But I think the first musical I saw was like a tour of Wizard of Oz coming through Columbus. And I recently found the playbill for it when I was doing the great purge of quarantine, purging all my memorabilia and stuff. And I saw the music director of that was somebody I ended up working with in LA once. And I sent a picture of it to him and said, hey, I saw you when I was 8.
Yes.
Excellent. So our second question then, Brian, is who would you drop everything to go see perform live, whether they're with us or not?
With us as in like the two of you? I would see you perform live.
Whether they're still breathing oxygen or they're no longer and they're 6 feet under.
Oh, I see. Well, I finally got a chance to see two of my musical icons I finally got to see, but the one that is no longer living, who I would love to see again because I didn't fully appreciate him when I was a kid and saw him, was Victor Borge, who's this pianist and is an accompanist, and he's hilarious. And I have his DVD of like the PBS DVD of his greatest moments.
Borge.
My father took me to see him in like 2000, which was a couple years before he died. But at that age, I just wasn't picking up on what he was doing, and I would love to see him now that I've had more experience as an accompanist to really appreciate how funny he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sort of kind of like a super talented concert pianist, like say a Vladimir Horowitz, who was also kind of a stand-up comedian. But
absolutely, he was on the Muppet Show. He's just so funny, and his bits never get old. You can still laugh to him. I have the DVD somewhere. It's like one of the few that I kept in the Great Purge of 2020.
And doesn't he? He has a bit with the seatbelt, right?
The best bit, so he'll be accompanying this soprano or whatever. She hits a high note. He goes, and falls out of the chair, then opens up the piano bench, takes a seatbelt, clocks it in. It's so funny. I want to have his career, but I would just do all of his bits and just not as good.
Well, you're very funny, Bryan. So
Thank you.
It's true.
You're on your way.
I'll try
You're
it.
one of the
I'll
funniest
try
guests we've had.
it.
So now, Bryan, who is going to play you in the musical version of your life?
Who's going to play me in the musical version of my life? Well, Matt Damon's not a singer, so I guess I have to find a different person.
That's okay. That doesn't stop any of the movie stars from being in movie musicals.
No.
That's true, and then sometimes they get Oscar
Hugh Jackman.
nominations and/or wins for it. Well, he has a Tony nomination as well, or a win actually.
Russell Crowe.
So I get. I didn't hear what you said, so I'm just going to let that one
Russell
go.
Crowe. Dave Mason. Russell Crowe.
We got it, Keela. Thank you. We got
He
it.
has some. Should we be spotlighting you, Keela, and what you think of these
Enough
people?
about me. Enough about me.
I guess because I've gone as Mark Cohen and from Rent several times for Halloween, maybe Anthony Rapp.
Perfect. Love it. That's actually a great answer. We did apparently get one more question from the audience. I want to make sure we ask that.
Uh-oh.
We're
Why?
still here. Chris asks, when you're feeling a creative block, what do you do to help get through it?
Oh, goodness. Several things. Stop writing, take a nap, take a shower, go for a walk, or write something really bad and let it sit and fester and let my anger about how bad it is force me to come up with a better way to do it. Sometimes you just got to meet a deadline. Like we need a video by the day before the Spotlight series, and I got to let a singer sing it, so I got to have it finished like 5 days prior. And you just got to do it, and it is what it's going to be. Lauren Michaels once said about Saturday Night Live, the show doesn't go on because it's ready. The show goes on because it's 11:30.
And that's very apparent at sometimes.
Are you talking about my song from tonight?
No. All right,
Keela.
Bryan. Okay. Before we're about to wrap this up, y'all. But before we go, Bryan, tell us a little bit more about what's next for you.
What's next for me? So the pandemic kind of took a hit to a lot of the momentum that was starting, and I had just finished school in 2018. 2019, I had an opera. I was part of World Pride. I had an off-Broadway musical. I had a workshop. And then in 2020, I guess all of those shows were so good that they just stopped musical theater. And they said, we can't do it any better than these shows, so we'll just end it all. But this coming year, we just did a reading of a show called Ghost Girls that I am writing with my collaborator from NYU, Lori Hochman. There it is. We just did a reading of that. We're going to do a workshop in the fall. We're doing a reading and a workshop of a musical called Nothing to See Here, which was actually my thesis show. We're doing that at Rubber City Theater in Akron, Ohio in August.
With Lori Hochman.
Also with Lori Hochman. And then with my collaborator from Assistance, Manny Hagopian, we're doing, and hoping for in the winter, a reading or a production or a concert version of Amelia Earhart, More Than a Mystery, which he did at the Fringe actually in LA. And then now we're doing it together here along with his wife, Kat Radley.
Very cool.
So trying to rebuild that momentum. Let's go.
Where do people get more information about all these things?
Go to my website, bryanblaskie.com. Go to my social media. It's mostly pictures of my niece and nephew, but at Bryan Blaskie on Insta. And I started a TikTok for some reason, so mostly because of Kevin Chamberlain. So that's where all that stuff will be. And pictures of my adorable niece and nephew.
Amazing.
Also, like right here on the wall. Those are their pictures.
Well,
so go look at pictures of my niece and nephew.
They're adorable, folks. I've seen them, and you know, Gene, the adorableness runs in the family apparently. So also, I'm getting a ring like the Blaskie and Hochman kind of, you know, that's like a cool kind of ring. So I think we
One
may be
day
work on your brand.
That duo. Okay, so Bryan, we can't thank you enough. It's so good to see you, old friend.
I'm so glad to be back.
One of our favorites. Now, for our audience, you can. Oh, Luke, did you hear that? That's so nice.
I did.
That's so cool. I'm looking at my window. Anyway, for audience, you can watch all of Bryan's songs just go to youtube.com at ALittleNewMusic, and actually it's going to be, you're going to search for A Little Blaskie Music.
A Little
whole
Blaskie
playlist of
Music.
me?
It's all 3 songs in their totality. You can just watch them one after the other.
Oh
Little
my God, I'll
Blaskie
put it on
Music.
repeat for the rest of the night as I finish
There
this
you-
rosette.
There you
Hey,
go.
it will inspire you, Brian.
It'll help with that writer's block.
Yeah.
And one last reminder to our audience, in case you didn't hear us already say this before a few times, but you can help us bring even more writers on future shows by scanning that QR code on the screen, the lower left-hand side, and just give what you can. Whatever you can. Your contributions compensate our performers and writers, including Brian, and including Kelly.
That's right.
Exactly. And thank you again, Kelly. I hope you're watching. You're amazing.
And hi, Kate, who just said hi. She was one of our performers as well at A Little New Music.
Ah, right. So we want to give a shout out to our team working behind the curtain, as we say in the showbiz. They've helped to make tonight's possible. Here is A Little New Music Spotlight Series executive producer Amy Francis Schott. Come on out, Amy. Take a bow.
I'll give you the applause.
I won't take a bow, but I will say thanks so much for coming on this, Brian, and thanks for finishing a song in record time. I've only been with A Little New Music officially since A Little New Music 3. Which was the one that had the Hanukkah song in it, actually. But my early memories of A Little New Music are rehearsing with too many people at one time in your apartment in West Hollywood and trying to find somewhere to park.
And then I gave up that apartment in West Hollywood to move to New York. Why did I do that?
A great place. That was a great place. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of this. It's so good to see you doing well in New York.
So happy to be back.
I want to thank a couple more people. Ryan Baldwin, who taught me all the things about StreamYard, and Travis Leland, who you've seen on stage at various times in the past, but he's been talking to y'all in the chats tonight and sending y'all the good links. So stay tuned. We will not be back in 2 weeks this time because that's like really close to, well, yeah. So the next time we're going to be back is going to be July 20th. Sorry, I lost track of the calendar there a little bit. We'll be back in late July and in August with some more awesome writers to feature, and follow us on the social to keep track of who's coming up when.
That's right. We also want to just thank quickly Peter Welkin and Chris Makish for their continued support.
Yes. Speaking of OGs, we also want to acknowledge again the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated for their support as well.
Brian, it's been awesome. Thank you for
Where's
a
Kelly?
lovely evening. Oh, there she is.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you for a lovely evening, Brian. It's been delightful catching up with you.
What a treat to share a drink with you all and talk about new musical theater.
Hey, everybody, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and
have a good night, everybody.
Good night.